Hey everybody, how's it going? Guess what? It's me. Still here at Glen Helen. Kris Keefer, RacerXOnline.com. How are you guys doing? Thank you for joining us today on another garage build. Looking at a beautiful orange and black 2025 KTM 450 SXF. Yes, 2025s are here. No, we didn't do an introduction for the 2025 KTM 450 SXF. Why? Because it's the same bike as the 24.5 KTM 450 factory edition. So I thought, why not do some things that I would like to do to my KTM, give you the information out there, and just do a garage build on it. It's not gonna look anything crazy. It's gonna look like a stock motorcycle, but there are some hidden gems within this motorcycle that I thought would be good for you guys out there that are looking for more performance-based modifications for your KTM 450 SXF. So what did we do? You know what? If it's good enough for Chase Sexton, it's probably going to be good enough for us. So we had Mark at REP, KYB inserts, obviously KYB lugs from Technical Touch. We have a KYB shock, as well as an FMF system, a Vortex ECU mapped by Chad at XPR, and then a twisted development exhaust flange to give it a little bit more snap, low-end RPM response that this bike I feel like needs. And then we went to a Renthal Fat Bar 827 bend. I like that bend on this bike, so we're gonna try that. We cut that down to 803 millimeters. But other than that, guys, it's pretty much stock. It's the bare minimum, but these are the things that I think that this bike needs. We're gonna go ride it here at Glen Helen Raceway today. Hopefully give you some positive feedback. Honestly, I haven't even ridden it yet, so it's gonna be the seat of my pants right now. We're gonna do some testing. We're gonna give you some feedback. And if it's good, we're gonna say it. And if it's not so good, I might say, hey, maybe it's not worth it. But stay tuned, we'll be right back. All right, guys, wrapped up here at Glen Helen Raceway. Nothing better than middle of July at Glen Helen Raceway. About 100 degrees here in Southern California. Losing my voice a little bit, so you're gonna have to bear with me. Okay, so like the top of the show said, 2025 is the same as the 24.5 factory edition 450. So they updated the frame. We're getting a little bit more of a relaxed frame when some frames like the Honda are going a little bit stiffer. These guys, the KTM, are going a little bit softer. So that is something that we needed out of the KTM, just simply because it was just a little bit of a harsh ride, especially on the edge of tire. I didn't get a lot of traction, I didn't have a lot of tire contact feel. So just overall, with the new frame, some of you guys are asking me, hey Keefer, is the new frame worth it for me to switch over to a newer bike? And I'm gonna tell you guys this, yes it is. If you guys are on harder pack dirt, intermediate to hard, it is a much more compliant feel, just the frame alone. So even with the air fork and the frame, the new frame, that is a more compliant feel. So to me, if I'm out here in Southern California, I would want to update my KTM to a newer frame just because of comfort. Now, I will say this, you guys know me, I'm not a huge fan of air fork. I've tried it, I've worked with it, it's gotten better, but I still don't get the consistency that I want from the air fork. So we have the WP 6500 spring conversion. We have KYB conversions. We have single-sided conversions. We have all these conversions. So for me, what I've found, and I've tried them all, and we are here today with the KYB conversion from REP suspension as well as Technical Touch. Technical Touch sells the conversion. Mark at REP does the valving, and he can work with you for what you're looking to do, like motocross, off-road. But right away, I'm gonna tell you guys this. Going to a KYB conversion, you're gonna get a lot more comfort through your hands. that's just something that I've noticed with the KYB conversion versus any other conversion. If I go to a cone valve fork, if I go to a single-sided spring conversion, I just don't get the comfort through my hands like I do this KYB conversion. Another proponent that really helps that is the split clamps from KTM, the factory edition clamps. We put that on there as well to get more comfort. So those two things combined right away, right when I roll on the track, that's what I feel. It's just a better comfort through my hands, not such a harsh feel. So right away, less vibration, more comfort, better bump touch. I'm already smiling in my helmet right when I'm riding around here. Next thing is we have a Pro component WP shock that's converted into KYB on the inside. So 18 millimeter shaft, KYB on the inside. Again, coming down these hills, not too rough today, but man, there's a lot of consistency and a lot of holdup within that. Again, more comfort. So simply put, not to drag this whole video out here, it's just I'm getting more bump feel and better comfort with KYB conversions. To me, that is the way to go. It's understandable why Chase Sexton, Roger DeCoster, they've kind of teamed up and forced WP as well as KTM to kind of move that direction on the race team side. Now, you can get some comfort with WP, but I just don't think I get as much hand comfort and bump comfort as I do with KYB inserts. So if you guys are wondering, hey, is it worth it? It's probably about $1,800 for the conversion. For me, if you're serious about your bike and you're riding a lot, yes, it is. So Mark, REP, they have a nice setting for me as well as you guys out there if you're looking for more comfort out of your KTM, especially if you have the older frame. I've tried this on the older frame before I converted it onto here, and man, it's a big difference. So right away, more comfort from a KTM, and that's what we're looking for on these bikes. Next thing is, I like the engine of a KTM 450. Linear, easy to ride, you can get on the gas early, has a lot of rear wheel traction. I like all that, but I need a little bit more pickup, a little bit more excitement. So what do? Obviously for me, FMF has one of the best mufflers out of the box in production form for the KTM, and Jamie at Twisted has an exhaust flange that matches the shape of your ports from your head that makes it flow better, which gives you some more response. So you're not going to get a ton more bottom end, but you will get more low end RPM response with that flange alone, even if you just have a stock muffler. But the FMF will get you a little bit more mid to top end, so second gear will stretch out a little farther, as well as third gear. So I like that, and it sounds good. For those of you wondering, yes, I leave my insert in on the FMF. Do not take it out. You will lose back pressure, and you lose a little bit of low-end RPM response. Next thing that's important for me, a Vortex ECU. Chad at XPR mapped me a Vortex for just regular pump fuel and T4 fuel, as well as ETS MX-18. He can do it all, but regardless of what gas you choose, you're going to get more low-end excitement, you're going to get more torque feeling, and just a longer pulling power, especially up on the top end. When I'm coming up these hills at Glen Helen Raceway, I like to roll second, but I don't have to shift a third as soon with the Vortex as I do with the stock box. So for me, it just stretches each gear longer, it makes it easier to ride. About $1,000 there, right? So although it doesn't look like a lot here on this build, it is quite expensive on the pieces that we're doing here. $1,800 for the fork, you got $1,000 for the Vortex, you got another $1,000 for the muffler. So you're looking at about $3,000, and you're looking at the bike going, Keefer, you didn't do much. I understand that, but for me, these are key components to make your KTM easier to ride, as well as have more comfort. That's all I want from a KTM. If KTM would have put spring forks on this bike in production form, to me, that's game over for a lot of other manufacturers and shootouts, because the bike itself feels light. It makes me want to stand up in corners more. It helps my my riding technique. I can get on the gas early, but I'm just missing comfort. So us KTM fans, we always are chasing comfort with this bike. So these mods that I've done here today help the comfort and help it make it more easier to ride. I don't really care about the looks as much as I do the performance. You can ask all my buddies that, and this bike performs well. Haven't ridden the KTM in about, I don't know, month and a half, and I got on here today, I'm like, oh man, I forgot how good this thing is. And then I got with the KYB stuff on here, I'm like, man, there's just way more comfort. and usually I don't feel as comfortable as quick at Glen Helen Raceway just on the stock air fork. So huge improvement from Mark at REP with the suspension, so they do a great job. I also want to note he has a linkage that's available as well to help that rising rate, so you can actually lower your spring rate in the rear, and then it just helps that in-stroke feel and doesn't make that KTM rear low feeling happen as much. So now with that linkage, the rear end's up a little bit more, doesn't have a lot of squat under load, so that does help. He also can do that without the linkage, up to you guys, but I like having my rear end up a little bit, so I stuck with the linkage on this build, and to me it's really good. Even though this build isn't dressy, we did dress it up a little bit with wheels. So DID gave us a set of wheels. Yes, DID, the same people that make chains, they are making a complete wheel set called DID Ace. Hub, rim, spokes, everything dialed in, so really cool. The Red Bull KTM factory team, that is the wheels that they are running right now. So you see Chase, Aaron, that's the wheel that they have on. That's what we have on here. So they're selling a whole kit. Really strong wheel, doesn't give you rigidity out on the track, so that is a plus. Also, they're having a whole slide and glide drivetrain kit, Renthal sprocket, DID chain, and a countershaft sprocket. They sell that in a kit as well. So DID is pushing the wheel market, and for us, that's a really sexy wheel, and it looks really sharp. If you guys are wondering about bars, a couple Benza bars are really good. 827, 602, as well as 839. I'm anywhere in that range for me. I'm 6 foot tall, and like I said, 800 to 803 millimeters wide on the bar itself. That's a good length for 5'6" to 6'2". It helps the cornering. Some of you guys are saying, hey, mine's 811 millimeters, but I'm 6'4". Sometimes having more leverage on a motocross bike doesn't really translate out on the track. And for me, having a little bit of a narrower bar really helps my cornering feel, makes the bike feel lighter. So there is that. Another thing I like on my bike that I didn't mention at the top of the show, I have a ZRT aluminum throttle. I'm not a huge fan of the throttle cables on the KTM. After about 20 hours, they get hard, they get crusty. You clean your bar, you clean your throttle tube, and it still feels like crap. I'm not a fan of lock-on grips. Aluminum throttle tube for me is strong, feels better. It's super buttery feeling. Honestly, it's almost borderline too easy. So if you get arm pump, you might get whiskey throttle, but if you're looking for a nice tube, ZRT makes a great tube, as well as Works Connections. You can look into those tubes, but we have a ZRT on this bike right here. Otherwise, stock seat cover, stock plastics, and I think it looks good. I like the black and orange motif that KTM did this year, so for me, it looks really clean, easy to look at, and for me, with these mods, just fun to ride, guys. And it's yeah, it's not a looker, but she sure does go out the track. So if you have any questions about this build, Kris at KeeferInkTesting.com. Happy to answer them for you. I know we kind of bunch all this stuff up in here in a 15-minute video, but if you guys need more information, that door's open for you guys. Just ask me anything you want. And of course, if you guys want to subscribe to the magazine, that would be really cool. 12 issues, $30. Lots of things you can see within the magazine that you can't online. And yeah, we're here to help, here to do different builds. And man, it's fun to ride these things. I get to ride all different kinds of bikes. I think this is my third bike. Different bike that I've ridden this week, and it sure is fun. So stay tuned for more of these right here on RacerXOnline.com, and we'll see you next month on a new garage build.